Hello, friends. We are back for another episode of the Evolving Adventure podcast. We got Greggy V about to be thunderstormed on, and we have a new guest who I'm meeting for the first time ever. But your Instagram's super cool, and your website's super cool,
Thank
and
you.
there's lots of amazing stuff you're doing. So I couldn't introduce you better than you could introduce yourself, Megan. Hello.
That's really nice. Thanks, Greggy. I feel like it's very fitting. I now changed my handle recently from Mountain Meg to Evolve with Megan, and evolving adventure, evolved adventurer really fits well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. And I came across your profile after talking to Margaret Spring, and Margaret is hilarious, and we hope she gets her candy soon.
Yeah, we hope
But
so.
yeah, we'll see. You have so many cool things going on. I don't even know what question to start with. For anybody who doesn't know, what's a little bit of your background and how did you get to where you are today with an app coming out, a retreat
What a
happening?
broad,
Like,
yeah.
there's so many things.
What a broad question. I mean, I look back on the last decade or so of my life. I'm in my 30s now, but just from college onward and even before that. And the two things that have stayed really constant in my life is running and the community or the connection that I really value in my life and how those two intersect and intertwine. So I would say that those are probably the two things. Well, running actually has brought me such a sense of belonging and community. And I know not everybody has running. So I want to find another way to connect people. That's where I'm going with this app. It is very early stage. But when I look back on my running journey, it's also been a continuous evolution of running in high school and college more competitively and then finding my way outside of that. And also in my work, I still work with athletes on running, strength training, and now some mental skills for performance and longevity. So I'm really passionate about all those areas. I feel like they work together, but a lot of times people see this and go, whoa, 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 you got a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. As you say that, like my brain is immediately going to these all totally fit together. And you go to a run club and make, but it's also not a linear progression of thinking. And it sounds overwhelming with all of the different things. What? Let's start with your running journey because it seems like that's the beginning that got you into all these other things. So, how did that contribute to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, my running journey has not been linear for sure. It's been all jagged. I ran my first 5K in the third grade with my parents. I ran way ahead. And then I remember finishing in 28 minutes and sitting on the couch with a tomato red face after and just feeling so happy that I did it. This was in Bloomington, Indiana, where I grew up mostly. And then we started to move. My dad's job just had us move a lot. So, Kentucky, I was on a team there and really just fell in love with the sport. Taking it down to Texas, that's where I finished out high school. Went to my first 2 years of college at a school called Lamar, which is really not very well known. But there was a team of athletes from all over the world. We had a Scottish coach, and he brought over a bunch of different athletes. So just fun exposure to what running is like in Australia or Europe and how those people come over to race in the States. From there, I went over to Minnesota. So I had a lot of transferring in my world too. Ran there, found myself outside of running there. I would really say built an identity outside of sport, which is so important. And started Strong Runner Chicks at some point in that time. So about a decade or so ago now, I noticed that there was such a gap in women's running in terms of not talking, and in men's, frankly, now too, but just not talking about mental health, eating disorders. All I really had to go to when I was growing up, I remember this makes me sound old, but it was just like Runner's World was the magazine. And I didn't really have online publications to read that were helpful and that actually told me make sure you're eating enough or feeling enough and finding your identity outside of running. And so I wanted to create a space for women to learn from one another and even for the next generation to learn and grow. So that's where I had a podcast. We're now more of a community. We're starting a Slack channel. We do a lot online and in person, and we're continuing to evolve and grow. But that's sort of where I'm headed now. And through all of this, I have found ultra running, and I love ultra running. I was an obstacle racer for a little while, so I can speak to a lot of different realms. And I'm even trying a high Rex this year, so it's like all over the.
And I saw you're doing a big race that I might be at in the summer.
Oh,
So good
Tushers,
luck with that.
Tushers, 100K, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I told
heard a
myself
lot.
I wouldn't do any more hundreds this year because I did one in February. Or like one is enough.
Oh, which one did you do in February?
Oh wow, you're putting me on the spot. I broke
Was it in
24.
Texas? Rocky
Yes,
Raccoon?
but it wasn't been yes, thank you.
Okay, okay.
Rocky Raccoon. Forgot my own race for a moment.
Yeah,
I've been
it
doing so
happens.
many mountainous ones, I figured it was time for a flat one, so
Yeah,
have you done that one?
nice. I have not done that one. No, there's a giant growing list, and I need time and like 7 versions of me to be able to do all the things I wanna do, but Tushers is one I have multiple people would love me to pace or go out there. It's just making the calendar work in a fun way, which you can probably
Yeah,
relate to.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So you moved a lot. So to me, that implies a lot of being the new kid, trying to make new friends, new community, and everything. That also seems to be a big part of your mission going forward is feeling connected with people. And
Yeah.
how has that looked?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said before, running has been just this constant. I really think about how much I've moved, not only growing up as a kid, I think that probably happened 4 or 5 times before I was at the age of 18. And then beyond that, I continued to take this. I was like, why not try Minnesota for college? And why not try Utah for grad school? And then Portland. Then I realized, you know what? I'm actually pretty unhappy in Portland. It's very rainy. I'm going to take this over to Colorado. But all of this being said, I found, and COVID times happened in Portland, like there was just this lack of connection and community in certain stages and places of my life. And I really found it through running. However, I think a lot about how I didn't really have another like hobby or outlet where I was going to meet other people. And I think that in modern day society, and especially as we get older, even into our 30s and 40s, I see friends of mine like maybe they get a divorce, maybe they move states, maybe they change jobs and they have trouble, or they graduate, retire from running, get injured. Like, what are you going to do to find your people and to understand that your friends are going to ebb and flow and change. And so I want to create more spaces, third spaces in the community that can be a source of connection for people and really help people find that. And I think a lot of introverts, neurodiverse people, um, like a lot of these social apps, I guess I'd say, are designed for more outgoing individuals. I really don't mind them. I'm all about it. But oftentimes it's like this isn't being created for, this is maybe only reaching 40 or 50% of the population because the other people are like, I'm not so sure about going to this if I don't know anyone. So I want to make more of that. And that's really my mission with this Belong Now business and the direction I'm headed there.
Wonderful. Well, I know I went to my first ever trail run in, I don't remember, it was November or December of 2019. Hooray. And that was the big hesitation was, okay, it's a 30-minute drive. I got to cross where I was living. I got to cross a bridge. That sucks. What if the people are weird? I know I can throw on my shoes and
Guys
hop
are
out the door
weird.
right now. Yeah, I can hop out the
Yeah.
door right now and look for grizzlies and it's okay. But
Yeah.
to drive halfway across town with people I don't know is like, it took a
Not
while
so
to get
sure.
there, and that's
Yeah.
not that long ago, so I get it from
And
both
that's a
sides of.
sport you're comfortable in. Well, maybe it was your first, but, imagine, yeah, if it's something totally new, like a ballroom dance class or an art class, and you're kinda like, "I don't even know what I'm doing here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the idea for Belong Now. I don't know how much you can say or not say, and I wanna respect that, but I'm
Yeah.
also very
It's not
curious
a
about the
secret.
app and the web like, I've looked at the website, and I'm like, "Ooh, cool, I'm intrigued by
Well,
this."
yeah, I guess if I'm sharing this, go take my IP or just bring me on board if you build it. I'm working with some people on the UX design. So I'm more of like I'd say a systems thinker. I've been in business development, go to market. I think a lot about psychology, how and why are people going to use this product. So I'm really I'm building a team right now of people that can build with me and really grow this. What I can say about it is like I wanted to answer three simple questions. Where am I now? And how can I alert my people or the people that I want to let know within my circles of circles? What am I doing? Where am I headed? What might they want to do? Like tonight, I've got a candlelit 90s concert. I've never been to one of those, but maybe I put that out there. Hey, I'm going with so and so. I've got a few people. Who else wants in? So you're giving an invitation. Step two, what's happening around you? Maybe in a couple days, I say, I'm free on Tuesday night. I wonder what's happening. Which of my friends are going to go to the run club this week? Maybe somebody I just met on the app is now going to something and we can connect there. So it's kind of like removing the pressure of, ooh, I want to reach out to this person, but now we have to plan a whole thing. And then third, I wanted to connect new people, new individuals. So LinkedIn's not the best example of this, but it kind of is in the sense of if you know a person who knows a person, it will let you know that, like, oh, this is a second or third degree connection. And so I think I would like that to be more of a thing. And this isn't necessarily going to be used for dating, but dating context is also a good example of like someone setting up with a friend or whatnot, or people meeting people in new circles of friends. So the idea there is that you would have some, of course, AI comes into play, but AI generated, like, hey, we think Megan, you would like this event. Here's what's happening this week that you can check out. And then there's a lot more to it, like in terms of I want to be able to measure the impact of this app, measure people's score on belonging, and help detect patterns, just like we do in our running. We're so data driven, right? We want to know, like, what was my HRV? Let's track that over 7 days. Which runs were the best outcomes? We track all of that. I want social connection to have a little more intentionality around it, to know, like, okay, I thrive when I'm with this amount of people in this type of setting, this many days a week or hours a week. And yeah, that might be too far. I'm not a huge data junkie. I know people are and might appreciate it. And I think it would get us to value the impact of connection even more.
Yes, and we could definitely use a lot more connection and a lot less keyboard warrioring, screaming
Yeah.
at everybody.
Well, that's my rule too. No massive meetups. No, like we'll limit the, how big they get. No endless swiping through people. I don't like the swiping. And no giant group texts. Like we'll put an end to those somehow.
Yeah, just being someone who lives in a little map dot that you may have looked at, it's hard when you're like, cool, so my dating app is out of people. Well, that took 7 minutes. This is great.
Yeah. The
How,
idea
yeah,
here too is maybe we wouldn't limit it, right? So if you're in a small mountain town, you'd be like, hey, I want to connect with so and so. They're also in the middle of nowhere, but maybe across the world. How about we hop on a call and talk about this topic?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I immediately started thinking about like different stuff in my past couple months experience of like, wait, I'm on a live stream here talking to a guy here, but he just said something that helps a woman I talked to in Boston here. How do I connect them? And then what happens here? So
We could have
yeah,
a whole session on that. We're going to have a network of networks running through.
yeah, because like I said, so
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. The group run in, well, this reasonable area is Thursday. That's not a day I can do it. But if I can't go and meet the people, it's a little different. Hey, I met you in a setting with a group with somebody like you're saying versus, hey, I'm a random face on Facebook,
Yeah.
which I don't use, or Instagram, like, want to go for a run? Want to go
Facebook
for a hike?
actually had a
Want to have
good
coffee?
example of this. And what I wanted to, yeah, kind of get across is that we used to have something on Facebook where it said which friends were interested in going to the events. Yeah, like so and so's going to this thing. I want that back. But not on Facebook, in a different context. And we're also going to gamify it. I want to give tokens to people in a sense where this is maybe too far, but the premise is I want to reward people who organize. A lot of these apps are charging individuals. I'm not going to call them out, but they charge a fee just to organize a group on there. Well, if it's a charity group or a running club and you're not making profit from it, I want it to actually reward the person who's designing the app. So it gives us incentive to organize and gather people because that's a hard job. And for those people, I mean, kudos. I'm one of them too, but it gets tiring and exhausting to always be the organizer of friends.
Yeah, and tracking everybody down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
whole thing. And if you haven't done it, it's a whole thing. Trust us.
mhm.
Trust
Yeah.
us when we say that.
So yeah, if I can somehow dedicate my life to this, if any investors are listening, I'm all in. I would love to go all in on this. And I truly mean that. I don't say that a lot about a lot of things. Clearly, I do a lot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a great way. Like community is something we need, whether
Yeah.
whatever it is, and that you're able to connect so many different people and so many different avenues. Because yeah,
Yeah.
I would anticipate you probably have your run friends, but maybe they're not the same ones you'd go to a concert with, and not the same
Yeah.
ones you'd go to a yoga class with, or a
Well,
sound bath, or whatever.
I've had, yeah, like a friend of mine, Courtney, said, I'm really into EDM music. I'm not personally, but she's into it. And she's looking for people who we're also running friends, right? So we got that in common. But the EDM thing, I'm going, okay, who in my world, right? I'm racking my brain because she told me this the other day. Who do I know that's into EDM? There's no way for me to tell that. We don't put that in our Instagram or in these profiles necessarily. So it's really something you have to dig for. And I often think, like, what if we just had an inventory or a space to kind of help track who's into what and who to invite to certain things?
Yeah. Okay. I love this. I love this entire idea. I would love to be part of it and
Amazing.
figure this
We'll get
stuff out.
the
But
beta testing group.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Yeah. 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 Wow. Still the ideas there. And to some degree, like the people using your app, there's a little aspect of like know thyself in what you're comfortable sharing, presenting with people. And
That's a
from
big thing too.
from
Yeah.
my experience going to group runs and making good friends, I mean, the first
Yeah.
person I met at that group run is a woman with green hair and it was partly shaved. And I was like, okay, amazing. We're very good friends now. Like, just such a cool life story. But, it could have been somebody different and I didn't have that same experience. But also, like, knowing yourself, knowing what you're into, having that some level of personal growth or development and
Yeah.
awareness seems to be helpful and something like how do you develop that or work with that or what is your role because you have some similarities there.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. I think part of it, like I mentioned, is this social barometer, like checking in with yourself, getting some prompts around your social connection and activity. Plus, that would kind of show you, like, hey, Megan, you really, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by this, but they would probably say you really have the best days when you start off the day with your friends running, or you go to this running club on Tuesday nights, then you're shout out to GMR, they're great, but you're in a better mood after. That's the kind of stuff that I think we often get to know ourselves. I think this is a problem in modern day too, is this whole I act like I'm some like person from way back when, but we get to know ourselves. Like a lot of us say, well, I go to therapy and I read all the self-help books and I'm doing all the self-work. But really when we grow best is in relation to other people. Like we're social beings. So why don't we take that into account and consideration? And I want the app to continue to prompt people around new things too. So feeding you some new ideas of things you might like that aren't already what you're doing so that a person is exposed to some new territory. Like for instance, there's a pottery studio less than half a mile away from my house. It might say, "Hey Megan, you did pottery like what? A year and a half ago." That might be a little weird if it was that invasive, but it's like, "You did pottery in the past. Maybe you noted that. You might like to try it again." Or, "You've been doing all these athletic things. Maybe you should try art." And so those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for from it is the ability to feed people new information and new ideas on how to grow themselves. New experiences.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. I mean, even tying it to running,
Yeah.
I'm immediately going to like watching my friend's video of, hey, it's the big race. I'm like, we're bedazzling our outfit. So I've got like glitter pens and I'm
Yeah.
gluing stuff onto my belt. And then this is going on my shirt. And I'm like, oh, I decided I'm going to wear that shirt and I'm about to start. But it's different. It's
Yeah.
also, hey, how many people now are like making a bracelet to hand out at races or
Mhm.
like out here, like painting rocks to give to people. But it's
Yeah.
also something you don't know if you haven't tried, whether it's wine night with your girlfriends
Uh-huh.
or I don't have another good example, but
Yeah.
something.
That is really fun. Now you're making me think everyone should have different archetypes on there, like your costume,
Yeah, well, because
whatever
you,
you
you
dressed
can't.
up at for
It,
Javelina or these races. Yeah.
yeah, Myers Briggs only gives you so much and it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily translate well. Whereas here's a photo of me at Javelina last year. Oh,
That's great. Yeah.
okay. That is a
Yeah.
giant wizard beside you. Yep.
Yeah. Well, my Halloween costume was Napoleon Dynamite, if that says anything.
Were you at Javelina this year?
No.
No.
Well, wait.
Because
No,
I'm
I
trying to remember if I
was.
saw Napoleon Dynamite. That's also an
Oh,
awesome
I
costume, by the
meant
way.
Halloween, not Javelina.
Halloween.
So,
Okay. Okay.
Javelina itself, I should bring the wig next time, but yes, the answer is yes. What did I dress up as? I would think I was in a Hawaiian shirt with my dog etched onto it. Yeah.
Nice.
What was yours? I bet it was better.
I had multiple because of what I was doing. I was at Rattlesnake first, and I was dressed as a runner. It was great. I had my zebra sleeves on, and then I got to wave at a whole bunch of friends running by and run with them for a bit, so that was super cool. And then I went down to the start line and I have an old Hawaiian shirt of my dad's, which it's red. It's like doesn't even, it barely comes past women can on here. And it's button up and it's red with pineapples all over it. And then it kind of matches my shorts, kind of.
Oh, those are
So I
so
had
fun.
those. And
Yeah.
then I found body paint and I had a friend and I was going to just put like your ad here and then Instagram on it and like mock or play with all the billboard signs like, haha, made you look, call this number and we'll put up, evolve with Megan on the giant billboard.
That's
So
amazing.
I had that body paint and then there's a photo of me with I won't say who the wizard is, but there's a giant wizard with his wizard staff, and I'm just like, this is javelina. And then you go to the finish line, and there's women running by in pasties because it's the
It's a
Pink
great
Pony Club.
time.
And then
Yeah.
there's a dude in a thong. You're like, all right. And then like
Yeah.
there's a guy in a T-Rex outfit,
I
and the
say
beach.
anything
It's
goes
great.
at
Yeah,
Javelina. Yeah,
yeah. It's a whole thing. So like I spend a little bit of time each year thinking about my costume and I end up in the same thing of it needs to be something that I can run in. And I'm only
exactly.
going to such a degree so I'm still comfortable out
Yeah,
there running.
precisely. It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean it's May, but now I got to think about my
You're
costume and
already thinking, I love
well
this, yeah. What's it gonna be this year? And I think I
I
do have another friend running Javelina. There's always somebody a
mhm,
friend of a friend. Yeah,
I can guarantee it's not Napoleon Dynamite. I did
okay.
not write that down. I have no context or reference for that, not Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Then yeah, if you need a pacer or something, or are you doing it? You're not doing it.
I'm not running it or
Not running
racing
it.
it.
Okay.
I haven't thought that far ahead. That's something actually pretty wild that I think, the COVID times kinda showed me. I live more in the present now, so I don't really plan out races. The next I know is August 1st, Tusher's 100K. That's
Do you have
it. Who
pacers?
knows what's after?
Yeah.
I don't have pacers yet, maybe a friend, tentative. I'm actually doing a triathlon at the end of June too, so we got a lot going on there.
Oh, holy, that's a quite different training.
Yeah. I'm slightly regretting that decision. I have to learn how to swim in open water now,
Good luck
and
with that. At
yeah,
least
it's
there's no
coming up,
sharks in
so
Colorado, I don't
any
think.
tips are welcome to listeners. It might be too late. I just
Not
gotta
the
get in
right
the
guy to
pool.
give you swim tips, but watch for sharks, but there probably aren't
Oh,
any.
yeah. Thanks. Boulder Reservoir, I'm
Oh,
hoping they're not
yeah,
in
there
the
better not
ocean.
be.
No.
No. No, what distance are you doing? Half
Olympic.
Ironman? Olympic, okay,
Mhm.
okay. That's a
Not
doable
yet, though. You gotta get your Ironman card, though, or you pay USA Triathlon, so I was thinking, well, sunk cost fallacy, maybe I should just do all triathlons this year. Maybe
if you
that's a
paid
little
for it.
crazy.
You got a calendar year. I mean, there is an
Might as
argument.
well.
It's all building your base for future ultras if you decide, or high rocks, or whatever else evolves, and
Yeah,
like the baby of CrossFit and high rocks and ultra running and something else, and ups and Spartan, and then you
exactly.
who knows what's happening.
Who knows?
It
Yeah.
will be wild. But how have you developed your mental skills and because it like there's a lot that I think about when I'm moving and
Yeah.
running and everything else. And a lot of things can go right and a lot of things can go
Uh-huh.
less than ideal.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah.
how does that look? I mean, I'm just curious because you have so many things going on and so many diverse but connected experiences.
Yeah, and I really like drawing parallels because I think that we all have lives, hopefully outside of running, where you're like, oh, I practice this in my relationships or in my career, or like things come up that I'm not anticipating. And so there's a number of parallels in my own life. And sometimes not that I try to artificially create that, but you kind of sort of can if you need more of those experiences. Like, how do you approach a situation where you're completely unprepared? And if you're always the prepared person, maybe you try showing up to a meeting or something that's maybe not a meeting for your job. I'm not going to suggest that, but you get the picture. Like, show up for something and don't have a plan. Like, go to the grocery store without a list and see what you come out with. That's like a baby way to start. But just sort of like anticipating, because in ultra running, for instance, you have so many things that you cannot anticipate. You can have the best plan in the world. And as we know, everything can go south. Your stomach doesn't cooperate, like something happens, heat hits. And so I try to sometimes I'm probably less prepared in my life. Like even for this podcast, I'm like, I'll show up, we'll chat. Well, I don't need to prepare a script. I know certain people wouldn't get on this without a script. So if you're one of those people, it's like, how do you kind of get away from the script and practice? And then number two would be talking to yourself in the third person, like becoming more objective in some ways because this isn't for everyone, but for myself at least, I know I can get tied to emotion in a race of like, oh, wow, I'm feeling really bad. And if you say, Dr. Ethan Cross is actually a psychologist that talks about this. And I believe I've read an article on Megan Flanagan doing it as well, and she's not related as far as I know, but we have a cool last name. So Shalane has talked to herself in the third person, which supposedly has gotten her through hard moments in a race. Like, let's go, Shalane, instead of I'm feeling bad. Megan, you've got this. I talk to myself that way. So for me, that's really been a game changer. Those are probably the biggest 2. Um, I feel like there's probably a lot more to it too.
Yeah.
Reframing, cognitive reframing, right? Like, not to say like turn the sad day around or how can this be the best thing when it was the worst thing? I mean, those are like, whoa, okay, too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it's sort of like, okay, what's the silver lining in this? Like, yeah, something bad happened. What's the silver lining? Like, I don't know, my dog was in surgery last month. That's kind of dramatic, my poor golden doodle. And it's just like, okay, what's the silver lining here? Like, what did I learn? He's okay. How do we sort of see the best in the scenario? Like, at least I had savings and I could use them, and at least he's alive. And, it's like, versus focusing on, oh, yeah, this was like the worst thing to ever happen. We have to start seeing the silver lining. And one example in a race is like maybe you feel bad at mile 20 of 100, but you say, at least the hard part's done. Well, I don't want to say that, but like at least I had the migraine in the first part of the race and now I can handle whatever comes my way for next 80 miles. So it's I'm constantly doing that, I guess is what I would say. And almost like in a way where I don't think about it now. It's just part of how I live life. And so I know it's not maybe the most it doesn't mean you don't allow yourself to feel the thing and have the moment, but you can't sit in that. And I think the best people that I've coached, that I've learned from, have a way of just like getting themselves out of the stuck, the ick, the dirt, and getting back up and trying again.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. Is there a or a couple like moments that stick with you of reframing something or like and this
Yeah.
only generally happens in the context of looking back at it, but like, hey, this was a catalytic event or moment in my life, but it didn't seem like it at the time. This is one I learned this mental skill there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I one is actually more personal life related. I got laid off in November from a job that no longer served me or fit me, and it wasn't serving me. Like mentioned, I probably wasn't serving the job at the point in time. And I realized, like that it's kind of like something happening in a race that you just don't expect. You're like, what did this? I didn't prepare for this. I've been putting all the work in. Why did this happen? And I think that what it allowed me for is like a solid 3 or so months off to really rediscover who I was and what I wanted. And I'm still learning. It's a continuous evolution. November was not that long ago, but it is long ago. It's like, oh wow, if this hadn't happened, this thing that I couldn't control that at the time felt like well, this is dramatic. I don't really get a severance package. They're just like, nope, you're done. So I think that because of that, and it's not just say, don't feel bad. It just wasn't the best work environment. Like I kind of just realized that like we don't need to continue working towards things that aren't serving us. And so that serves me in running as well to think about it of like, if you're really not enjoying this training block, I see so many people do this. Like, why do you think you have to run hundreds if you're like, I hate ultras, I think there are a lot of people out there, maybe not doing hundreds that hate ultras, but they're like nose to the grindstone. Just I got to get this 5K thing. I got to get this dialed. Why? Like ask yourself why. And if you're not having fun with it, reevaluate because there are so many different races, just like there are jobs. And I think that too many of us spend our lives it ends up being our lives, months, years, whatever, in situations that don't serve us. So I think that's what it taught me for the most part is like feel the pain, do the hard thing, quit, leave, get fired, and then learn from that and how you can move forward.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. Being laid off sucks and it's hard.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been through it, you don't know, like, it's a lot. So my heart goes out to you for going through that because it sucks. But also to be able to learn from it and, like you mentioned earlier, see the silver lining, learn and grow and evolve with it is really powerful. And then you can be there for any of your clients or have that connection of, hey, maybe different outcome, but the layoff sucked. This sucked. What you did
Yeah.
with it is what's important. And if the whole experience was terrible there, then it's a win to some level to be out of that. But there's that huge piece of like, oh my gosh, what happens? What if I just lost my job? Ah, how do I pay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a lot. What mental skills did you use for going
Well,
through that?
mental skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the cognitive reframe of like, well, this happened. What's the blessing here? What's the upside? I mean, I was so grateful. I haven't dipped my hand in one pot. I'm grateful that I have a lot of other opportunity. I still had run coaching clients. I still had another opportunity that came right up in contract work. So it was like I was able to make it work. And it, like I said, it allowed me that space and time to kind of reframe and evaluate. I think too, I thought about like, yeah, how would I talk to a friend or an athlete about this? I mean, a lot of people, if you haven't been laid off listening, but you know somebody in your life who has, it just allows you to kind of step foot into someone else's shoes. And to be real too, I felt this, as a coach, for instance, like I've never really been injured long term. And so sometimes it's a little hard to like I can feel that in a sense. It's like, oh yeah, I got laid off and so I can commiserate. But if you haven't gone through it, then you don't always know how crappy it is, how like to sit in that with someone. And so I think that by failing or having these moments of life experiences that don't go our way, we're able to commiserate with the athlete. I've had one DNS, it was in a Spartan race, but you kind of look back and you're like, well, I can commiserate with someone else who's had or DNF, not DNS. I made it to the start line, but not the finish. And so being able to say I've had those experiences is just like even more valuable to relate to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and you never know what that one little, you saying something is the 100th monkey effect and the 100th time that
Mhm.
Bill heard that, and now Bill makes a big life change. At least
Yeah.
that's what I hope with something. Someone out there is
Uh-huh.
listening to it and like the one thing you said,
The
one
way
thing
you
that
said
clicked.
it, yeah.
Yeah, the way, the smile, whatever it was, like it was just the right person, the right place, the right time, and life changes for
Yeah.
somebody. And that's incredibly
Podcasts do
cool.
that, you're doing that.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, I'm curious now more about your background because I mean, there's all the stuff well, I mean, hiking, hike your own hike, running, run your own race. Why am I currently injured? And not doing that.
Run your own race, yeah.
Yeah, but how does that look? You have such a cool story, personal, professional, running career. Let's go with the career one because you have done
Thank
some cool
you.
things,
Yeah.
and I know that you have a retreat coming up.
Thanks so much. Yeah. And actually a podcast I have is called Evolve Your Path. I should have you on it,
Oh,
right? But
yeah, yeah.
it's
I'm
really for
making a note.
people who are kind of finding their own evolution. Evolve Your Path to me means like continuous transformation. I actually have a tattoo that's evolved. So we're all evolved
Oh,
here. But just continuing to sort of reinvent yourself each and every day. Like you wake up and you're like, I can start to become that person I want to become. So for me, the podcast is a more so exploration of people's careers and professional lives, but I really do want to dive more into personal with people on that as well in terms of how they've grown. And for me, I guess what I would say is growing up, I never really felt like I had a super linear path. My dad was an engineer, my mom was more of a teacher, designer, did some things. She embodied more of that multi-passionate front. But seeing your parents, you kind of only are exposed to what they do and what your friends' parents do. And so I didn't really know what I was going to do in life, but I knew that I wanted to really help people and impact them. And then I think going through psychology in high school, I was like, wait, people do this? This is so cool. You talk about humans and try to figure things out. And I loved it. And then in college, I had a course called Living on Purpose that was really fundamental, shaped the trajectory of like how I wanted to live life and what really mattered. And there was nothing in there about salary or outer achievement or the next race you were going to win. And it was all just really internal, like what fills your cup at the end of the day, what matters. And so almost to a spiritual component, but it was really nice. It was really refreshing. And so when I graduated college, I had like a triple major, a bunch of things. And then I went to public health. I wanted to learn about systemic change because I'd learned so much about individuals. Like, how do you work with a one on one person to create that change? And I was fascinated. But then I thought, okay, their environment is actually a huge component. The people we surround ourselves with, the neighborhood we live in, the workplace we might go into during the day, the traffic we're in, the amount of commute time, all of that, even the air pollution, like influences who we are as people. And if we're not taking that into account, we're missing at least half of somebody's whole life. And so for me, that was just kind of an awakening to go into that realm. And workplace well being was the place I first started out in. I was doing SRC on the side, coaching athletes, clients. starting that community, growing it, and then also on the side saying, you know what, I want to influence people at work and in their lives. And anyway, that's sort of the path I've gone down and have worked for a number of other companies and partnerships now. To me, it's just fun to see how someone's passion, skill set, values can align in so many different contexts, but still go towards the same North Star. And at the end of the day, for me, again, that's like, how do we blend in running and physical well being and integrate that with mental and emotional and spiritual and connectedness? And at the end of the day, like, influence people's lives, like, help improve outcomes.
Yeah. I'm so excited for Belong Now and all of the other
Thanks. I sound so
things.
idealistic over here, though. I'm just
Yeah,
like, I know, heads
but
in the cloud. We gotta live like that too. Like, I always look back on my decade ago self and I think, wow, I was so wise. Like, I'll read journal entries and think we really need to do that as humans. Like, as we grow and we change, look back on your journal entries if you wrote down things dreams you had, or your vision board from when you were 21, and like really lean into that, because I think too many of us let those things die and we forget that like you still have your whole life ahead of you.
yeah, it could be really cool to look and see, "Oh, hey, I made this collage in 2015 and holy
I
wow,
make one
that's
every
that
year
person,
now. I'm like
that's
vision
here."
boards,
Wow.
yes. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
I gotta do that actually.
Yeah, I wanna hear
Making
about
note.
yours.
Yeah, oh gosh, I'll have
There's a
to
solo
tell
episode, we can
another
turn the
time.
mic on you.
Oh, for sure, yeah, there's all oh my god, yeah, so many crazy things happening. Um, how have your passions and things evolved or changed, like, as you've gone through your journey through college and stuff? Has it been, because I hear a lot, like you've done a lot of personal work and self-reflection and taken a lot of growth and some would say risky moves, but you've also like you never know what's on the other side of taking that leap and quitting a job or
Yeah.
taking a risk and trying that race, whatever it might be. Like, has there, do you have regular practices that you do on the daily? Has that shifted with, hey, I'm super into sound baths, but I used to go to yoga every day. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
throwing
great
random
point.
ideas that have no bearing on my life whatsoever.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's super, super fun. I think actually this might hit some people and sort of be like, "Oh, what?" But I would say one thing that I know a lot of people around my age, millennials, Gen Z, are always like, "Yeah, I go to therapy. I go to therapy." I would say traditional therapy is not. It's something I've dabbled in. I say every therapist I work with graduates me quickly because I don't have some like easily diagnosable thing. I just want to do the personal growth and work. So I will just upfront say that's not something I do on the weekly, or I'll do it here and there, but it's less to me about just like doing this, talking to one person for an hour a week and then leaving. And that's kind of how personal training is like you see a trainer or a coach once and then you leave. And so for me, it's about the integration. And like you're saying, actually, it's funny, sound bath. I did a sound bath last weekend, but that's not a regular part. I don't do that every day. I do like a little yoga. For me, personal reflection and journaling is a part of my daily or weekly routine, at least. Really, let's see what else is part of that. You had a good point there about personal growth and just, I mean, the reflection points are huge. Um, I really think I have a bias for action, so I'm really all about taking the action. And I'm learning, oh, this is a big realization. Yeah, to be a human being, not a human doing. I love taking action. I think a lot of humans, you might have one or the other. Like maybe you are such a being that you're sort of like, ah, but I'm afraid to do anything. And so in those cases, I would say, please take more action. Like the world needs you, go and do the thing. But at the end of the day, I think as runners, often we're just doing and doing and doing and striving. And a lot of runners are sort of type A and go. And we're chasing these external achievements. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, what really matters inside to you? And at the end of your life, like I had to do this exercise in sixth grade that made me think about this. They had us write an obituary. If anyone's listening and you haven't done it, it's really powerful. Like write your end of life obituary. I don't even own I wish I had the article now, but what do you want people to remember about you? You know, what do you want? What's the legacy you want to leave? And so if I kind of just think more and more about the impact, the legacy, and even just the day to day, like if I pass away tomorrow or next week, how do I want to be living today? And how do I make sure that you don't have to have a life changing event, like get a cancer diagnosis to start caring. Like I want it to just be something that more and more people, and so I know that if I want to help other people with this, I have to do it myself. I have to work on that. And one other thing I've gotten better about, just going back to the being versus doing, is I do think for a lot of my early 20s, I was chasing this external metric of success because you grow up with that. And collegiate running is just like hit the time, hit the numbers. And so I felt like I was just chasing a lot of that and then finding I was empty, and also meeting people who had achieved it. Like I have friends out there who have been like OCR of the year athlete, and they're professional, and yet I met them and learned their behind the scenes. I'm like, they're no better off in terms of happiness, health, well-being, connection than me. Like at the end of the day, they still struggle with mental health or challenges. And so I realized that nobody's immune to that, and that the higher levels of success you chase, sometimes it just gets harder and harder to keep up with whatever it is you're chasing. So
For
I feel like
sure.
that was just a whole thing, but there's my
Yeah.
there's the keynote.
There's a that is the obituary thing for sure, but, like, there are so many things and there's so much pressure at different levels or things that I will never know about you that are running somewhere in the program of the back of your mind right now of, like, stressors and things like that. It's like having the compassion
Yeah.
for other people,
Yeah,
but
and
also
what
seeing.
stress is worth it? Like you just said,
Yeah.
what level of pressure and success is worth it? Because we know Olympic athletes, people that are achieving these high levels of success in sport or career, CEOs, they're facing a lot of pressure and stress, but it might be totally worth it. And that's awesome. Like just manage it well, do it for a short time, but like you're saying, it's just not for everybody. And you have to ask yourself, like, is the stress and whatever sacrifice worth what I'm getting out of this?
Yeah, at whatever level of your
Yeah.
life it is, Olympic champion, blah, 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 drunk driving. Okay. But it's an extreme example, but it's the same as like, hey, super stressful family situation, grief everywhere, alcoholism or drunk driving. And they're different, but they're similar. So, like, having that realizing everybody's got their own stuff going on. How can I grow or shift, or what skills can you teach or share from experience of, hey, this helped me go through this? But it's not always the most fun stuff to do in your free time on a Saturday night, journaling about your trauma or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it's not always fun, or especially if you get called out by somebody. Like, I've got friends in psychology and other fields, and it's sort of like, "Oh, are we all just kinda analyzing each other, calling our" it's good to have those people, but, yeah, we can all kinda eat in the it's almost at some point just, like, get out of that hyperanalyzation and just go live it, and then come
Yeah.
back and figure it out.
Yeah. I'm still a
Yeah.
human and I want to have a Coke. And do I really want to go to the store today? No, but I really want a Coke right now. And that's my only option.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Dang. And thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, this is this
Yeah,
is fantastic. And I'm curious now about, like, I know you have a retreat coming up and you've done
for
some in the
sure.
past, and I would imagine there's more in the future. What is the structure and all, like, how do your retreats work and how have you been able to connect with the people that you're bringing in to have as resources? So someone can
Yeah.
show up and say, "Hey, I want to do SRC and work with Megan. I see Belong Now. I see this. I
Yeah.
see these
Well,
amazing
I'm like,
things."
We could do a better job here." I
Uh,
basically haven't been able to access our Instagram on my phone for a year, so we've got some issues.
oh, okay.
But other
The
than these
website works.
systemic yeah, it's like, thank goodness I have a friend, Lauren, helping me out, but that's been a barrier. It's just like basic operational things like that, which is no excuse, but I've tried and tried. So if anyone out there can help me with it, thank you. I would love to get access again. However, that being said, there is a lot more I wanna do with it. Early on into it, wanted to start ambassadors across the country, still have these aspirations of growing it far and wide. I would say since I've lived in the Front Range in Colorado for 5 years, it's really been kind of centric here, but we reach women throughout the country. I've had women from Canada come, and Wisconsin, and Georgia, South Carolina, like, kinda all over the map, show up to these events and retreats. We have Courtney DeWalter joining us, and we've got Kylie Van Horn and Amelia Boone and Addie Bracey's hosting essentially at her lodge, Sagestone. So really amazing people. And if it's not just for the come for more than the people, the speakers, it's also the people that show up to these. The women are just incredible people. I mean, I really think that we have some returners, for instance, coming back who are really big advocates in the sport, and coaches, mentors, just people that I really admire and that, it's great to spend time with. And I also think in our adult lives, like, I mean, if anyone out there is doing this, cool. But when you have your friends over for a big sleepover and like stay up late, and we don't stay up that late, we're runners, but have like a bonfire and like really bond and make meals together. And I don't think as adults we're doing that enough. And so it's kind of like a summer camp for adults, but a little nicer. I don't call it camp because Addie's Lodge, Sagestone is very nice. So you'll get very nice meals and lodging and all the bougie things, but also we're going to be out in the wild chasing down one another, chasing down Courtney, albeit on trails, and having a great time and learning from one another. I wouldn't say it's a conference either, but hear me out. Like I really put a lot into the education and I want people to get a lot out of it. So we have fireside chats, Q&As, like deep dives into different topics, mental health, body image, nutrition and fueling and injury 101 and strength training and all those fundamentals. And then behind the topics themselves, it's sort of like, okay, what's this person's story in it? Like Amelia's got an incredible story to share. Like, let's dive deeper into that. And so I just want to create more spaces for women to have these experiences and frankly, do this a lot more often.
Yeah.
Yeah, join the wait list for the fall. We might be doing one again, but I gotta say they're hard work too. So we have one more spot and it's May 2nd, and this is happening in a few weeks. So if anyone wants to sign up, reach out to me. I also try to make them super accessible. We have some scholarships and I even discount it for out of staters because I just really want to incentivize people, get out of your comfort zone, come into Colorado. We'll keep you safe in the altitude with all the mountains and the bears, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. A question came to mind as you were
Yeah.
chatting because you've got like some well-known names in trail and ultra running that may be completely anonymous to anyone who's not in this
Yeah.
little niche that's out there. But one thing is like how it can be intimidating to a degree to meet someone based on like, here's what I see on Instagram. Oh my gosh, you're really fast. And I know that is something that has, I
Yeah.
mean, would I never went to a group running because I was like, well, do I have to run as fast as everyone to go? And this is me like, I don't, it can happen to anybody. There's a level of intimidation, a group of strangers. So, what would you say to someone who's nervous about, I really want to go, this is great, but like, oh my gosh, I'm not as fast as Courtney, or what am I going to
Mm.
say? Uh, I'm Megan and I'm just a woman over here. But that's who but at the same time,
Just say you like
yeah,
shows and she'll be like, "Me too."
yeah,
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, I wanna make these accessible, like I said. So, I would say, like I mentioned, there's all walks of life. We have women in their mid to late 20s joining us. We've got people last year at least, 50s, 40s. Like we've got a wide range of ages and paces. And so if you can run like at least ideally around 5 miles comfortably or maybe about an hour comfortably, I think you're in a great spot. Run, hike it. We're going to be having more of a hiking group. We've actually got, I think, at least one or two that are more on the injured side or the coming back into, which is, it's hard, but we have plenty of options. We have yoga mats and other activities, probably some bikes. Like we're just super accommodating with how this looks. So, and the fastest of the fast people or the longest of the long runs are still not anything wildly insane. So we try to keep this accommodating component to where we have two or three different pace groups. Yeah,
wonderful. That sounds super fun. Is there a sauna and a cold plunge and a hot tub?
kind of. Yes, I believe so. I caveat that we were the first people at the SRC retreat last year in Addie's Lodge, and at the time, she did not have those things. I don't know about cold plunge. That seems easy to.
A creek, or I mean, it's Colorado at elevation,
I think
so
we've got all the
any
above.
water is basically a cold plunge.
We definitely have a gym and I want to say a sauna, but if you're curious, go to Sagestone Lodge on the website.
Check
Details,
it. Yeah,
devil's in the details. I will get the
yeah,
details down. We've got another 4 weeks. So we're working on the schedule. We got it dialed in. And like I said before, I really take an intentional approach. So one of my favorite things is to go through the registrant list now and try to match people to roommates that make sense for them and really handpick that and ensure. And the rooms are wonderful, like two great queen, king, big beds. Like it's really a great time. That's all I gotta say is like I put a lot of intention into the meals and into the agenda and sort of like the group activities. So yeah, if you're on the fence, just reach out. We can chat.
Yeah, connect with it. And then
Yeah.
this is not your first one, so, like, how are what is it like now looking back on previous ones and seeing, "Hey, like, these people are connected now," or, "You didn't know who y'all were, and then you're pacing you, and you're doing that, and you're working together on a new endeavor that came up out of this." Like, what is that like?
Yeah. I mean, I've met a couple of my best friends through SRC. So shout out to like Kelsey and Elena way back when they came to me probably 8 years ago and said, "Hey, I just got a random email one day. I'm like, I'm out here and I want to help you and I'm states away from you, but let's all, we were all in different time zones, like everywhere from West Coast over to East Coast. So just really cool to see how women can come together like that over not only online but in person. One of my good friends, Courtney Grass, like we met last year at the retreat and realized we live only a few streets away. Who knew? So I've met some good friends. It's like a self-serving thing, I guess. You draw people in that are like you, but I also have witnessed so many women. We've got a WhatsApp group. Now we're moving to Slack, but it's from last year. And I just watched these women support one another, meet up with each other from the 18 or so that joined us last summer. And it's incredible to see. And about when was it the first time I did it? 2018, I want to say, was first one in Colorado. And so even from that time to now, we're still connected. And a lot of the women still have that kind of bonded experience that you really just can't recreate.
Yeah, it is difficult, and that's
Yeah.
inspiring to hear, like, the connections can be that deep if you are thinking about going, like, it's yes, it's a big unknown, you never know who's gonna be there, but that could also be it goes both ways, and it could be the best experience of your life putting yourself out there, and
Yeah, and I have this theory about it too. I think it's almost better that we all don't know everybody. I love that people come as strangers often, or you don't even really know the people. Maybe you know one person and you walk away like, wow, I felt like I could share more than maybe you bring your running club. And I see run clubs do that. They'll do retreats together. That's great and all, but it just sometimes creates a different level of I can be vulnerable, I can be myself here because it's a new space of people. And I know that's kind of reverse psychology, but I think there's something to it.
yeah, and there's something 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 about being outdoors and not like, we're looking at each other face on right now, but there's
Right.
something subtle about the body language and the positioning, and you're out on a trail, whether you're hiking, walking, or running, you and I are having a chat. There's something, whether it's less intimidating or less confrontational, or your brain is like picking up on it. Your brain is picking up on looking at all the non-straight shapes. In some ways, it can be easier to share stuff or like
Yeah,
bond deeper because those factors are removed. Hey, we're just out in
I
nature
think
getting fresh
so.
air. It's very
Yeah.
different from like awkwardly sitting at a coffee shop or job interview.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. You're making me think I should just do all my life's work. Like, this is it. I could just do this and be happy. It's good
And it
stuff.
it
Yeah.
seems like it's your life's work.
There are moments I have to just tell everybody every year I say this though. I open signups, we get a few and I'm like, "Oh, this isn't going to run. We're not going to, we all get down on ourselves." So it's just if for anyone out there that's like, "Maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to host this." Don't get down on it because every year I say that, I say, I might have to cancel this one. It might not work out. And I have those moments. And now we're here in May, and I'm like, great, we got one spot open. We're pretty much full. So just keep trusting in the process and like know that the right people are going to show up. And I think often as community organizers, it just really takes this level of like, if it's a DNF or nobody shows up, like yeah, just take that and move on, and it was a lesson learned, and the right people will show up next time. And also, the one person, like, we talked about this earlier, I know we're wrapping up, but I think about this on a podcast, like, we're speaking to one other person who's on the other line listening, and so, if it's just one person's life that you change from an experience, if you host a group run and one person shows up, or a fitness class you're teaching. If you impact that person, that's still one person that wasn't impacted before. So just keep doing it like that and create the experiences you wish existed. And that's something I remind myself of as well is to work towards that North Star.
That is a wonderful statement to wrap up on. Megan, for anybody that now wants to know about the retreat, wants to follow you, wants to connect with you, what are all the ways that we can do that? And these will also be in the show notes.
Yeah, you can listen to the podcast Evolve Your Path. I've got a little Substack going. Interestingly enough, LinkedIn, I have the biggest following. I'll say I like lost my Instagram. So I don't have a big presence there, but I'm working for the one person like you found me. So Instagram is at evolve with Megan, evolve dot with dot Megan. Yeah, and evolvedpotential.co is actually my website, although I think there's two of them out there right now. So another one's more running focused, but reach out any way you can. We can chat. I'd love to
Yeah,
meet more people.
definitely connect with Megan, follow everything, get that one last retreat spot.
Strong Runner Chicks at Strong Run
Yes.
Chicks on Instagram. And I will see it. We'll check the DMs. It's on my computer, just not my phone.
You never know what happens by sending a DM. You
You
never
never
know.
know. Yeah,
It could be anything.
you did it. So we got on this show. Thanks, Greggy.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan.